In this video, we're going to have a look at dividing and cancelling in algebra. Before we have a look at algebra, let's just go back to fractions. Say we had the fraction 8 over 12. Now, to simplify this fraction, we mightn't just know that it's 2/3, but we could write it as 4 times 2 and 4 times 3. And because we have a factor of 4 in the numerator and a factor of 4 in the denominator, they can be cancelled and we get the final answer of 2/3. Let's try another fraction example. Suppose we're asked to multiply the fraction 4/15 times 5 over 2. Now we could multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and then simplify, but a quick shorthand is looking at factors that are in the numerator and denominator. I can see that I have a 5 in the numerator, and it would be 5 times 3 in the denominator, so we can cancel the 5 in the denominator, just leaving 3. Similarly, I can see that we have a 2 in the denominator and a 2 times 2, cancelling one of the 2's in the numerator. That leaves us with 2/3 for that example. So now let's go to algebra. Let's take the example 3x over 21xy. Now I'm going to expand this out just so you can get the understanding of cancelling. This would be 3 times x over, now I'm going to separate 21 as 7 times 3 because I can see I have a factor of 3 in the numerator. So we'll go 3 times 7 times x times y, and we're looking for factors that are in the numerator and the denominator to cancel. Well, now we have a 3 in the numerator, 3 in the denominator. We have an x in the numerator, x in the denominator. Now we're left with nothing on the top. That seems odd. We're going to put a 1 there, and I'll explain why in a minute. On the denominator, we have 7 times y, so 7y. Another way to think about this is if we were just going to simplify the fraction part, we would have 3 over 21 would simplify to 1/7. The x's would cancel, so we're left with the 1 on the top and 7y on the denominator. Let's try some more. Let's make it slightly harder now. Let's go 24 a squared b over 30 a b squared c. So again, I'm going to expand it out just for simplicity until we've got the hang of this. Now I'm looking at 24 and 30, and if I was simplifying it as a fraction, I might realize that 6 is both a factor. So I'm going to separate it as 6 times 4 times a times b all over 6 times 5 times a times b times c, because we have b squared in the denominator. So now I can cancel factors that are on the top and the bottom. I've got a 6, I've got 1a there, I've got a b, and there's nothing else to cancel. So on the numerator I'm left with 4a, and then denominator I'm left with 5bc. Again, you don't have to do the expanding. When you get good at these, you'll be able to just stay within the sum. I can simplify 24 over 30 as 4/5. Now I'm going to cancel the a on the bottom, and I have to cancel one of the a's on the numerator, so I'll just cross out the power. With the b's, I've got 1 on the top and 2 on the bottom, so I'll cross out the 1 on the top and then 1 on the bottom by just cancelling out the power. What am I left with? I'm left with 4a in the numerator and 5bc in the denominator. So now let's have a look at one when we're multiplying. Take the example 2a over 3 times 3b over 4. Now we're just looking for things to cancel here rather than multiplying it out. So I can see here I have a 3 in the denominator and a 3 in the numerator. I have a 2 in the numerator, and this 4 could be 2 times 2, so I'll cross out one of the 2's. And I'm left with a b over 2. That can be a lot quicker to do than actually multiplying it out and simplifying. Let's just do one more of those. That's a little bit harder. 22x over 8y squared times 16y squared over 11x squared. Now I know that I don't want to have to multiply 22 and 16 and then simplify, so cancelling is definitely going to be the best option. So I can see that this 16 could become 2 times 8, and I cancel the 8 in the numerator and 8 in the denominator. I can see 22 is 2 times 11 and cancel the 11 in the denominator and 11 in the numerator. Ooh, and I've also got some x's. I've got 1x in the numerator, so I'll cross out the power on the denominator. And I've got y squared on the numerator and y squared on the denominator, so they can both be cancelled. So what am I left with here? I'm left with 2 times 2, which is 4. And I'm not left with anything on the denominator. So the answer... Oh, sorry, I'm left with x on the denominator. Nearly missed that one. So the answer is 4 on x. We always assume if a pronumeral is in the denominator that it can't take the value of 0 because we can't have division by 0.